We're obsessed with the Connie Fife Show. It's about a lifestyle shift to move up or out.
Hey, what's your jam? What's the one thing that really drives you? What makes you unstoppable?
It's about opening a new door to live your dream.
People give up way too early on their dreams.
It's about enjoying the journey. It's about keeping it real.
Damn, now the interviewee is interviewing the interviewer. I like this.
It's all about you.
I knew there was something else I wanted to do. Stop taking shit so seriously. Y'all can do this. Take an outrageous look at life and laugh.
This is the Connie Fife Show.
We love your voice. We love your jam. You need to be on radio.
And now your host, Connie Fife.
Hey everyone, hi there. It's Connie Fife, your Unstoppable Diva, and we are back this week with another outrageous guest. We're adding one more to the list of the crazy ones who have made a lifestyle shift, and she has activated her brand, and she's just doing some really incredible, amazing things. So again, what are you doing today to activate your brand? Again, because a lot of our audience, they're still sitting in corporate and they're saying, how do I get out? How do I really do what I love to do? But I don't know how to take those steps and I don't know how to take it to the next level. Well, we're going to share that with you today because we know, I truly understand and believe in throughout all of my heart that people give up way too early on their dreams. And we want you to enjoy the journey. We want you to keep it real because it's all about you. So thanks for being here and listening to the Connie Fife Show. And it is sponsored by our label, which is Talent Concierge. So our guest today, when I started looking into her and checking out all of her information, I immediately was stoked. She has this energy about her that just jumps out at you on the page. So she is another one of the crazy ones. And she has one goal in life, and that is to create cohesive systems that support strong communities. Now, if you've been frustrated and you're watching and getting stressed out and watching the digital leaders really get mired by the constant shoring and shoddy systems, well, our guest today is going to help you focus on the digital world, which she has done and started over a decade ago, just as it was rising up and impacting everyday life. And it's about the time I started. Well, we had 13 years, but I know when that digital world started growing and expanding, when I sat in the C-suite, I had other people that did it for me. So I had to quickly learn how to do it myself. So really wish she was around at that point. But around 2018, she quit her job at a grocery store and she began working on her own agency. She grew her digital agency, Nancy Content Solutions, from 0 to a six-figure agency, all in 2 years. So I'm just going to jump right in because I want to introduce you to her because she loves throwing solo dance parties. She sings while she does the dishes, and she plots new permaculture garden systems all from her home. And you're going to love her, and she's going to help you communicate better in today's communication age. So welcome to the Connie Fife Show, Say Gabriel.
Wow. Thank you, Connie. That was an amazing intro. I'm like, wow, I must be really cool or something.
I kept researching your information and I was like, oh, that's cool. Oh, that's cool. Let's share that. Let's talk so much that you've done, really. And if you look at it in a really short span of time.
Yeah. And, I do want to just clarify and correct. I took the business from 0 to more than 6 figures in 2 years, but that was actually another 2.5 years ago. So in total, Nancy's coming up on its 5th year of business. Mm-hmm. We've been around a little bit longer.
Right.
But, oh my gosh, in the past 5 years, like literally 5 years ago, I was like living in a fifth wheel trailer. I had quit my corporate job to like live in the place of my dreams. And I had just finally sunk in, that I was having to sacrifice the things that I really wanted to do in the world to live here. And I was like, no, we're not sacrificing that. So yeah, dove in with both feet.
And you just dove into the pool head first. I remember sitting with my first coach, and it was about 2 years into the business, still not quite sure if I was going in the direction that I wanted to. And I remember him saying to me, do you have both feet in the water, or are you all in? Well, as soon as I heard that, I dove in the deep end head first. Like, I was like, I am in. Like, nobody's going to tell me anything else. I am in.
I so vibe with that. Yeah. I'm like, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this super intensely. And it actually took me a lot of pushing to fully be ready for that. I've had a lot of entrepreneurs in my life. And even though I've basically been an entrepreneur since I was a small kid, I've seen the toll it can take on people. I've seen the dark side. I've seen strong, powerful women that I know and love working themselves into the ground for something that wasn't necessarily working for them.
Right.
So it was really scary at first. And it took a coach of my own to kind of have a similar moment with. And she basically put it to me. She was just like, look, a lot of people end up in that position because they find themselves in the role of entrepreneurhood. They find themselves running a business. Things kind of get big enough that they have to turn into it. They don't necessarily build systems and processes to support them.
Right.
They don't necessarily have that insight. And I was like, well, I am the queen of systems.
I got so that. Let me show you.
Yeah. I was like, wait, can this rely on my systems? Can that be what makes it successful? Oh, great. Awesome. No, but jokes aside, she did have a similar conversation with me. She was just like, look, if you are going to consider this, I suggest going in feet first and really doing it with the systems and knowledge to support you. So, to the listeners listening to this podcast, if you're listening to this, that's already the first step. You're already doing good by trying to learn.
Right. You're already doing good. And the other misnomer, if you will, people believe, okay, I sat in corporate, and I was one of them. I sat in corporate. I don't have a product or a widget or a service. What am I selling? What am I doing? I know for me, the biggest thing that I share with clients is transfer your skills. What skills did you have then? Transfer those skills to now. Look at the greatest gifts that you have and turn that into whatever that might be for your business. And when you do that, it's like, oh, wait, yeah, I know how to do that. I could do that. I could do that. So that's one of the things too. And that's what I see that you did. You took some of the skills that you had and you turned it into your business. Now you grew that initially. You talked about 2 years. You're here like 5.5 years later. And congratulations to you, because again, a lot of entrepreneurial business fail within the first couple of years. And, like you said, they can't make it past that. So some of the things that I was really curious about, well, first, I love the metaphor that you talked about. You create this world that's like a safety net or a cozy sweater that you want. And if you're an entrepreneur, this is what you want. That's, get the confidence, but also have the comfort knowing that you are on the right path and doing the right thing. So how are you helping your clients in that way, giving them the confidence that they can keep moving forward?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm going to break this down into kind of two different categories, because one is my business that I lead, and one is actually like me as a leader and entrepreneur. And I do see those as working really well together, but not quite the same. Now, Anansi Content, as you mentioned, is the business that I run. And Anansi is the spider god that gave the world stories. So the concept of a web and weaving is something that's always been very, very close to my heart, and something I feel very strongly and passionate about. I believe that we live in this like crazy, huge 3D web of connections and interactions and systems, quite frankly. So my business, Anansi Content, really what we do is we weave a world that helps organizations, weave a world with words, to be more specific, that helps an organization connect to the people that they can really help. We believe in using marketing to actually create strong communities, again, by reinforcing the threads in that web. What that literally looks like is copywriting, copy strategies, sitting down and helping people take the stuff that's kind of floating around their head, all those ideas, things they want to do, how you describe, how you help people, all of that stuff, and just simplifying it, clarifying it, weaving it into something that is cohesive, that is simple, that will support you, that will connect you to the people that you can really help. Now,
I'm gonna just interrupt you there because that is so helpful. I mean, because an entrepreneur is an entrepreneur, and they have all of these ideas, but it's like, how do I get it to paper? How do I get it to paper? And it never translate the paper the way you think that it is. Again, guilty. So to have somebody else see that is so powerful, is a very powerful tool for an entrepreneur know that is available for them.
Yeah, absolutely. It is. It's crazy. And I mean, I started out again when it was just me in the trailer. I was doing everything. Thankfully, I had the wherewithal and the intelligence to hire one of my oldest friends who is just a brilliant, brilliant woman who is now my chief of ops and second in command. And we've actually grown over the past 5 years to a team of 8. Going on 9 even. Wow. So I actually started out doing all of these different pieces. And now I have 4 word weavers or strategists that do the project work. And then, I started working more on the marketing and sales. And now even, we've trained up a chief of marketing and I'm stepping even further out. And as I define my own unique role. Now, as the company role has kind of grown and evolved, number one, it's really cool because I get to see other people doing the work and sometimes doing the work for me, like sometimes it's like I'm the client for the company that's helping like direct where we're going, but they're all the people who are weaving it in and clearing it out. And it becomes more than just words. It becomes accountability, focus, clarity, where are we going next? And then I also have to ask myself, where do I sit? What do I do for the company? What do I do for others? And that's where the systems really comes in. I've discovered that business leadership and building an amazing team and building this stuff, I just love it. And because we work on a subcontracting basis quite often. So we work with a lot of other agencies who are doing other elements of web work like design or marketing or branding. Okay. And because of that, I've been able to see behind the scenes at so many different companies and organizations. I've been able to really see what it is that often goes wrong, or that little piece that you can shift that can really make a difference. And so that's now what I focus my time on, doing that for my own company, but also on a consulting basis for other people and helping them address those systems and make them support you instead of constantly needing support from you.
Oh, I love how you put that. Really, I love that. And so many. So let me just ask you really quick, backing up. So, and again, stepping into the entrepreneur world, people are like, oh, I can't, handle team or bring anybody in. I can't afford that. Share your secret and how you were able to do that.
Okay, so there's so much here. I could literally talk for hours.
Like I said, when I was looking at you, so like, okay, what do we want to talk about?
Oh gosh, yeah. So let me try and simplify and make it succinct. So I'm going to speak from the lens of, you are perhaps one of the crazy ones, or, you want it to be more than just you. And you're thinking, who is that next hire? How can I ever imagine handing anything off to someone else? Yeah. And I mean, I even have notes in front of me here that I may or may not even get into, because I have systems for how to go through the actual hiring process and defining your values and et cetera. But honestly, I think it really, really starts in your mindset. It starts within you. Okay. Issues that I see all the time, and, guilty, are when you are used to doing something well. Like, let's say, the first challenge is figuring out what is it that you're going to do. That's something you mentioned. But let's say you figured out, what it is that you're doing, who it is that you're serving, and you just don't want to be doing it alone. I basically look at hiring as delegating to some degree, and there's 3 forms of delegating. This is something I came up with on my own, but it's just been so super helpful for me. And I call it delegating up, delegating down, or delegating laterally. Okay. But there's some mindset stuff before that. So first thing you need to do is accept that when you start delegating, things are not going to be perfect. Or more specifically, they are not going to be specifically as you would have done it. Mm-hmm, now, there are some things that you can do to constrain that, right? Like you can make checklists, right? You can follow the delegation model that I'm about to share. But there's a few different things. And number one is just letting go of perfection. And I strongly urge you and myself, this is a reminder to me and everybody else who is, struck with perfectionism, to just embrace excellence over perfectionism. So things are not going to be perfect. And if you try to embrace perfect all of the time, you will miss out on opportunity, growth, development over time, even the glory of failing, because I'm a huge believer in just failing fast. Failure is how we grow. It's not the end. Right. So if you just realize you're probably going to fail, do it in a way that, you're not flushing your own work or someone else's down the toilet or bringing them danger or something like that, but that you're welcoming that failure as a chance to grow.
The Connie Five Show is heard everywhere. You can find The Connie Five Show on most of your favorite networks. It's time to now recognize and thank our major networks for all of their support. In the house, we have Conscious Business Radio, C-Suite Radio, Transformation Radio, iHeartRadio. We are also heard on Google Play, Apple, Radio, Stitcher, and so many more that I just can't keep up with them all. I'm Connie Fife, your unstoppable diva. Learn more about our gym and how we can work together at my fancy schwanky website, ConnieFifeShow.com. I'll see you over there. Until then, like, share. Now back to the show.
So those mindset pieces, welcoming failure, valuing excellence over perfection, and accepting that things will not be done exactly the way you would have done things,
right,
are critical. And until you can at least feel open to those things, especially the first one, that things aren't going to be done exactly the way you would have done them,
right,
you're going to struggle. And I know very, very, very successful entrepreneurs, both solopreneurs and not, who are relatively relaxed and can delegate or can reduce the work so that, it's within their capacity to do. And I also know people who are very successful financially, but basically tearing their hair out and can't keep people and can't build a structure to support them, right, because they can't get past the perfection thing. The delegating isn't going to be as you would do it thing. So that's why I just start with those things. But I do also want to bring in just a simple framework, because I'm a big fan of simple, practical, actionable insight.
Okay.
So this delegating framework really is just understanding what the roles are in your business and what the tasks are that you're doing. And again, I can get into means of doing that in mind maps and blah, 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 but we'll keep it high level. Just write down the stuff that happens.
I think we're going to have a 2-hour show today.
Oh, gosh. I'm like, oh, yay, I don't have to make myself more succinct. That's easier. Making things more succinct is always harder. Anyway, so 3 means of delegation. So at a high level, delegating up is taking something that you aren't necessarily skilled at, right, and delegating it to someone who is better. So, for example, my company is a delegating up company. We handle the copywriting process. Someone can hire us and basically we will figure out everything about them, everything about their client, and do it. Mm-hmm. And basically it's going to cost more, but you are bringing in something that's basically done for you. Right. The quality is there. You don't have to learn it in order to be able to do it. You just have to be able to navigate the questions.
Right.
Now a lot of people think, oh my gosh, if I'm just starting out, there's no way in heck I could do this. It's too expensive. I need to hire the lowliest VA. And
right. That's exactly what they think. Right. I'm going to break the budget if I do this.
Exactly. And we will get to that because that is an option too. But delegating up, the thing I just want you to leave here with, if you haven't considered this before, is that if you are aligning correctly in terms of your audience, this person or this company or something is really solving a problem and creating value, then actually you are charging that service to the client. You are not paying for it out of pocket. Sometimes you're actually even making a little bit of money on it in terms of a markup. Okay. And all of that is okay, not just okay, but win-win-win, because they are providing massive value that you couldn't create on your own because you just didn't have those skills, right? So delegating up. Now, next is delegating down. So that is what most people think of as their first hire. You hear this a lot, which is like hiring a VA, hiring a virtual assistant, maybe a general virtual assistant. But basically what this means is hiring or delegating work that is low value to someone who is being paid a wage that is more in line with that values, that you yourself can work on higher value stuff.
Right. Like inputting into a database.
Exactly. Right. Or one of the most, we have a chief of admin. I will not insult him by calling him a VA. But one of the things that he does that is incredible for me is he organizes my email. I set up a framework, which is basically a Google document organized by put emails here that need to be responded to within 24 hours, put emails here that blah, blah, blah.
Okay,
and then every day
I need him.
Oh God, it's great. Now, I had to create the framework. Here's the trick though, is I had to create the framework. Because we've been through a few different people, which is why our chief of admin can manage this along with his chief of admin role. But I had to, in order for that to work, at first I just hired someone to sort my email.
Yes.
And it was a nightmare. It took me 4 different people over years and rehashing the process 5 or 6 times to finally come up with a framework that works. And I'd be happy to share that template with you, Connie, by the way.
Well, I guess the one thing there that I just want to point out too is it's not always the first in. You have to.
Oh yeah.
And again, I've done that. I've had people that I've hired that were really bad. So you have to be better at the due diligence before you bring somebody in.
Absolutely. And actually, I have that here in my notes, just totally, forgotten. But I'm first of all, hiring in any one of these aspects is an iterative process. I can give you a few tips that can immediately improve things, but we've probably rehashed all of this 6 or more times, and you will have to do it more than once as well. You're not going to just change one little thing and hire your magical super person right out of the box. Even I will say, Celine, my story with Celine, my chief of ops, kind of sounds like that. But that is, she was I had gone through 2 or 3 different VAs. She was helping me with their work. There was an opportunity and I started working with her and I was like, holy cow. I need to snap you up. And I basically wooed her away from
right. You'll have that. You will have those holy cow moments. Absolutely.
Yeah. But it wasn't oh, look, I'm going to go hire someone. Now I hired this perfect person who's running my company. You know, it took a lot of work
to
get there. Yeah. But I do just want to touch quickly on the delegating laterally, since that's something people forget, right? So you've probably already heard of those other 2, but delegating laterally is basically, it's kind of like untangling roles a little bit. So a good example of this actually would be Celine, my chief of ops, who when we first started working together, she was doing a lot of work to actually deliver the projects, and I was doing a lot of work to actually bring in sales. Okay. And our roles were tangled up a little bit, but delegating laterally is something that you could do.
Right.
Maybe you have the capacity to do it. You have the skill to do it. Not always the same thing. But it works on the basis that if you simplify the buckets that people exist in, everyone's job will be much easier because their outcomes will be clearer, their tasks will be clearer. And even just that simple differentiation of, you're one person doing everything, having one other person who say you're good at projects and they're really good at sales or vice versa is often a really strong first delineation. That's also what people are thinking of when they bring in an admin person. They're like, okay, they'll do all the admin stuff. I'll do all this other stuff. But in reality, it's different from assigning somebody grunt work because it has to be the higher level work. This is usually internal hiring or a contractor, and all of these can be hired. No matter which way you're delegating, you have options. You have outsourcing to another country virtually. You have hiring someone locally. Right. You have contractors that scale their time up and down.
Right.
But if you untangle this first, understand these buckets, where do you sit, what are your resources, it'll help you make better decisions around those options around part-time, full-time, contractor, remote.
Right. Because all of it does get little scary. And I've actually tried hiring locally so I could have someone come into my office to really, and I don't want to say grunt work, but that person that really will manage my email, manage my calendar, just do whatever it needs to take for me to get through the week. So I don't have to sit here at the end of the day and doing it. I haven't found that person yet.
Yeah, I will admit cheated by going worldwide, right? Like our people exist in 3 different countries all over. I'm personally based in Canada, and like even Canada, we're like spread all over Canada because of that, because we have honestly super high standards.
Well, technology
limited to our pool.
And we have high standards, but technology is great. But I did find someone, but we have 9 people on our team, and again, same thing. We're all over. We have them, from Barcelona to Nepal, and we're all over, and we work together cohesively like a family, like we're sitting here together.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. Mm-hmm. My team of marketing reminded me recently that we've never actually met in person.
Right. I had
a real moment of like, really? Like,
right.
Oh my gosh. Like, I guess so. But we've been working together for years so cohesively that you just forget.
And you do. And you do. Of course, we've just, going through COVID, and it's like we didn't stop working. We actually ended up having more work because, just to try to serve our clients, better and doing some different things. But we never broke. We continued working, throughout. So,
As did we.
Yeah. So there's benefits, for sure. And there's also challenges, but you can make it work. You can definitely make it work.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And having the right people, I think, really bridges a lot of the challenges of remote work, because I won't lie and say there aren't challenges to remote work. There are. And
there are.
Not the least of which is feeling lonely sometimes, even though I have this amazing team all the time, but I'm still here alone in my office.
Well, the biggest challenge we have is, it's a challenge and it's also a benefit, are the different time zones. Yes, I will agree with that. Right?
Yeah.
Different time zones. Although it's a challenge because I'll send something off and I'm like, okay, she's probably sleeping right now. But then when I get to my computer, say in the morning, I'll have all of these emails from other people that are hours ahead of me and they're already done. So, and that's a benefit. Like,
yes, that is a treat. I will say I love having people. I'm on the West Coast, so I'm like behind most of the people we work with. Mm-hmm. So I get that like positive impact with my team. But like when I was the one doing all the work, I felt like I was always behind because I was like on the East Coast. But now we have people all over the place. And in fact, one of our core team is on a totally opposite set of time zones. So we get the experience you say, which is, we overlap for meetings and stuff, but then I wake up and she's done all this marketing work and I'm like, oh, wow, bonus.
Right.
But then sometimes, finding an overlapping time to find that a meeting that's like not already in our calendar is sometimes.
Yeah, that is sometimes. It's like, well, it's 2 a.m. my time. And then it's, that gets to be challenging. So we actually try to change it up. And it might be 2 a.m. for me some days or somebody else. So we do. Yeah. So we do change it up for that. And of course, those that are, 8, 9, 10, 12 hours ahead of us, is always like, welcome to the future. So we found it, having that dream team, as you call it, it's really important, critically important. So let's move on, because I know we could just keep on talking here. So if you would finish this sentence for me, say, I am unstoppable because.
Ooh, I am unstoppable because I am unstoppable because I recognize that my problems are my greatest strength.
Oh,
let me give you a little bit more context, because they provide opportunities to grow consistently. Yeah.
Well, with that said, your juicer exploded. How did you turn that into a valuable lesson for the team?
Oh man! Oh gosh! Yeah, that was painful. That was like
I found that one.
It fell. That was a few years ago. Well, I made a video about it years ago, but really in that, and I'll be honest, I don't remember exactly what the video said because it was a few years ago. But that was one of the first time. Yeah, sure. Yeah, I mean, I'll just give you new value, better value from the perspective of years down the line.
But it helped your team, though. You use that as an example for your team. So what was that?
Yeah, really using it as an example for the team. Like that was one of the first moments where I was like, holy cow, like I messed up, things are wrong, like this feels overwhelming, like, oh my gosh. And then I was like, oh, everything's like ruined. I'm just going to destroy it. I wasn't literally going to destroy it, but I was like, burn everything to the ground.
I know. And especially again, in business. And again, for our listeners, please understand those days do happen.
Oh yeah. And one of the things for me that happened then, even to be honest, happened this morning. I couldn't sleep very well and I woke up like angry. Like I don't get angry very often, but when I don't sleep well, it's like all my like filters are down. I'm like, angry, smash things. And I was just like, you know what? Pause. Before I angrily like clean this up or turf it or etc., I'm like, what can I actually gain from this? Number one, being vulnerable was really big for me in that moment. This is again the like 3 or 4 years later version. But I was just like, wow, I'm like covered in like juice. My like toe hurts. There's things on the floor. I'm cleaning it up. And immediately I didn't want anyone to know. I was like, oh my gosh, I want to hide this. I want to like maybe never juice again or something. Right. And I was like, you know what? No, I want to share this vulnerability with people so that they can understand that failure happens. Sometimes, your juicer vibrates itself off the counter and hits the floor at 40 pounds. Sometimes, crap happens and it sucks and it's terrible. But you know what? It's okay. It's okay. Like not only is it okay, but that was an opportunity. That was an opportunity for me to connect more with my team, for me to show them and my audience. And because that was like one of the first 5 videos ever. Now I release videos every week and stuff, but that was terrifying. I was like, I had a phone. I didn't quite know how to work like the Facebook thing.
Right.
And how to like,
but you're being vulnerable and you're being authentic.
Yes.
And that is a big shift. From moving from corporate into an entrepreneur. And again, I had to make that shift as well myself, that, in corporate, it's almost like you have to sit a certain way, act a certain way, say things a certain way. And then when you become an entrepreneur, and I know for me, my struggle was, okay, I have a client meeting. How do I dress? Like, what am I supposed to do? And actually broke my foot. So wearing my Jimmy Choo stilettos was like out of the picture. And so going to a business meeting, I felt naked because I felt like I wasn't appropriately dressed or how people would look at me. And then I remember when I moved to Los Angeles from the East Coast, Northeast, where it could be cold and you're very professionally dressed, and you go to Los Angeles and I was out of my element. And so I finally, just like you said, I just became very, very, very open and very authentic. And I just started sharing that until I finally got comfortable in my own skin of how behave the way you are. Like, there is no pretentious here anymore. And so that was one of the big shifts for me, going from corporate and into being an entrepreneur. Because again, you see entrepreneurs and they're like, okay, I can't dress that way. It's like, this is not me, because they're in torn jeans or a t-shirt or something. And I'm like, okay, that's not me. But dress who you want to be and what you're comfortable in. So say, will you ever be satisfied?
Yes, I'm already satisfied.
Ooh,
satisfaction is not, something I constantly strive for in the future. It's something I recognize in the present. And I would say, as I look towards the future, I'm not seeking satisfaction. Satisfaction is a baseline, Okay. I'm seeking impact, growth, positive change.
Okay.
If I were to die tomorrow, I have already done more things, experienced more love, inspired more people, created more things than I ever thought possible, and then other people do in a lifetime. Also, I feel afraid that if I strive for satisfaction forever into the future, then I'll never experience it in the present. So do I feel happy all of the time? No, absolutely not. Has being vulnerable and authentic about the times where I'm struggling and, I'm not feeling satisfied with myself in that moment.
Right.
Oh my gosh. Like so often, it's still hard 5 years later, and I took a 2-year break in between my corporate world and diving in the grocery store years.
Yes.
But that being said, there's still so much more in the future that I can build with others, for others, et cetera. And I'm really excited about that. So I will never stop being excited.
Great. Well, maybe that could answer this next question. If there were a song about you, what would it be called?
Ooh. Celine just used some words to describe me a few weeks ago that I was just like, really? That's amazing. I want that. And that's what I think the song title would be called, but I can't remember it. So I'm just going to say bear with me here.
That's okay.
Brilliant Rainbows.
The Brilliant Rainbows.
Yes, we'll go with that. Brilliant was the word I used. That's
okay.
So it's not a very catchy song name. So Brilliant Rainbows. Let's go with that.
Okay. That's okay. We can go back. I just hear you full out. Brilliant Rainbow. I love that. And what was the meaning behind that?
My natural state is intense. I've recently in the last year realized that I probably have undiagnosed ADHD, which explains a lot. But I live a life with intensity, I really believe that my norm is super intense energy. The term ebullient means almost bubbling over with joy.
Okay.
And ebullient, which has the term Boolean in it, also to me is reflective of gold. Just something that's shiny and precious.
Right.
And whenever I'm struggling, which is, regularly, let's just say, I feel dampened down. And maybe even if I'm depressed or tired or grieving or something, I'll feel really low. But my natural self is simply those things removed. And that is brilliant, intense rainbows. It's full color. It's high intensity. It's warm light. It's sometimes the intensity of the sun and a bit overwhelming. And that always can come through when the conditions are right.
We'll go with Brilliant Rainbow then. that is definitely more in line with you than Brilliant Rainbow. Although you're a very brilliant woman.
Thank you.
But I think brilliant. So what's next? Where do you go from here?
Well, I go on to a whole bunch more podcast episodes with a whole bunch more amazing people. Hopefully you'll be one of them in the future because this was a really great episode. But just to speak a little bit more generally, sometimes it's taken me a long time to be able to communicate to people the connection between copywriting, communication, words, and building strong communities, weaving strong webs, connections, etc. And as I go forward in the world, my personal goal is to build the business up to be relatively independent of me so that I can focus on being a mom and my family and all this different type of stuff. But no matter what I'm doing, whether it's my business, whether it's consulting, whether it's the family, whether it's the next thing that I'm sure I'm going to go on to at some point, I really just want to be spreading the word that the way that you communicate, the power of communication, the power of vulnerability and authenticity, I'm glad you really zeroed in on those two concepts, has the power to create the reality that you desire, in your business, not just in your business, but in your family, in the world, I'm going to continue being the change as much as I can, living by example, not trying to change other people, but just shifting my communication patterns, the way I talk to myself into the world. And I just want to help people understand how much power they have by doing that.
Brilliant.
To create an amazing world.
It's beautiful. It's really beautiful. Let our listeners know where they can find you and also find your podcast.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you want to find out more about me, about my business, we're working on some personal say stuff, but www.anansicontent.com. That's ANANSICONTENT.com. That's just the site about what we do. It has links to all the amazing people on the team, more about me. But also, if you're interested in listening to my show, Say It Online, where, we have a little bit more of a digital world focus. But we really get into that business leadership stuff, practical, actionable insight, real talk about what it's like to run a business behind the scenes. None of this, like, the stuff you hear all the time forever.
It's all easy. Yeah, this is what we hear.
Yes,
it's all easy, and you could do this, and you'll be an overnight success. Nonsense.
Yes. Nonsense. A lot of it is simple. I will say that, but that does not mean it's easy. It is the opposite of easy.
Right.
You can just go to anantacontent.com/podcast. And that will have all of our shows and information and stuff as well. And lots of resources on there as well.
We'll say, I just want to thank you for being here. Your energy is definitely contagious. I would love to have you back on this show. But again,
excellent. I would love to come back. I like I said, we could talk for a long time.
I know.
A lot of different things.
I know. We have a lot of similarities there. Well, guys, that's all I have for today. Thank you for being here. This is Connie Fife. And thank you for continuing to follow and listen to the Connie Fife Show. And this week, be kind to yourself and also be kind to each other. Thanks for being here. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye. Hey, y'all, it's Connie Fife. Thank you for listening to the Connie Fife Show. Check back often. You don't want to miss any of the good stuff. If you like what you hear and would like to be a guest on the show, head over to theconniefifeshow.com to apply. While you're there, check out our amazing advertising opportunities that will put you right in front of your perfect client. I will see you over there. Do yourself a favor this week. Activate your power and be unstoppable together.